All right, we're kicking off turkey season 25 in grand form and fashion. We're doing a little prep rally. We're going to backtrack and go to the 2025 NWTF National Convention in Nashville. It was a celebration, and Mark was inducted into the Grand National Calling Championship Hall of Fame by Brother Terry. So check this out. It's a great way to kick off the prep rally here for turkey season 25. Let's go.
We're here to introduce our next inductee, another guy that really needs no introduction, Terry Drury, who's going to share a few words about his brother for the 2025 induction into the Grand National Calling Championships Hall of Fame. Terry?
Well, what you just witnessed was history. That was a beautiful history lesson from one of the best. So congratulations to one of our dearest friends on the planet, Mr. Ernie Calandrelli and Mr. Jim Pollard. Much deserved to them both. What an honor. Congratulations, gentlemen. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Terry Drury with Drury Outdoors, and I am certainly honored to be here this afternoon. I'd like to start by recognizing the National Wild Turkey Federation, its board of directors, chapter administrators, and its entire membership, as well as all of the past Hall of Fame inductees. Thank you just doesn't seem sufficient for the tireless effort and countless hours of dedication to promote our great sport. In addition, the likes of numerous facilities like this one over the years has resonated sights and sounds for decades. That is the true testimony to the collective and constant effort. Thank you once again. A special thank you goes out to our dear friend, Mr. Rob Keck. His unparalleled efforts to raise funds and actively populate the wild turkey throughout this great nation of ours is unmatched. Thank you, Rob. Now, to the matter at hand, I'm not sure how much of an introduction he needs, but for those that don't know him, I will give you a brief rundown on my brother, Mark Drury. His style of competitive turkey calling was extremely aggressive, much like his approach to life in general. Leave no stone unturned and tackle your endeavors with a vengeance. This relentless construction mentality came via our pop, Ralph Drury. We were blessed with two loving and very supportive parents. No matter the endeavor, Ralph and Lucille were always there. They were always present. This aggressive hunting prowess, whether it be for giant whitetails or unsuspecting gobblers, is an extension of the competitive style that gave him his start. The evolution began at an early age. A gentleman by the name of Bill Martin took Brother Mark under his wing and mentored him, introduced him to calling and killing turkeys. This quickly then spilled over through his high school years and on into the college years. As a matter of fact, two of his college roommates, Chris Werner and Keith Kuhn, that are close dear friends to this day, vehemently acknowledge the hatred and disdain that the other tenants in their apartment building had for them due to the obnoxious sounds constantly occupying the hallways of their apartment building. Story has it that if infinite turkey calling wasn't enough, at times the bellowing goose call would come out late at night after an evening of festivity and good cheer. Well, this disdain wasn't limited to just nearby neighbors and close friends. Oh, no. Our entire family grew tone deaf from the incessant calling that wasn't always on point or top shelf. The common greeting at any and all family functions or gatherings went something like this. Well, hello, Mark. Would you mind going outside? Well, hello, Mark. Can you do that in the garage? Well, hello, Mark. Please go down in the basement if you're going to do that. All the while, he was mastering his artistry and refining a skill set. Little did anyone know where it would lead to or where it would take him. Now, fast forward slightly, the competitive calling circuit and the camaraderie sparked an interest, a passion, and a desire unlike any other, except for his undeniable interest in Tracy. There were a number of accomplished callers at the top of their game and the envy of all the younger callers. Some of those extremely inspirational and very influential callers at the time were the likes of Ray I, Paul Butsky, Joe Drake, Skeet Thomas, Dempsey White, the late, great Dick Kirby, and yes, you guessed it, our friend Ernie Calandrelli. And that list goes on and on and on. If one could only ever reach that status, that level of perfection, that was what a caller's dreams were made of. Vividly recalling the memories of Brother Mark and I walking shoulder to shoulder year after year at the NWTF Convention down an aisle past the nearest bar or pub or club, and there sat royalty. Ray I, Paul Butsky, Skeet Thomas, the late, great Bob Walker, and you guessed it, our buddy, Ernie Calandrelli. We idolized every one of them. They were at the top of their game. They were at the pinnacle. Each year, Mark would say as we walked by, God, if we could only have one beer with those guys. Well, that's a whole nother story that I'll let Brother Mark elaborate on, for sake of time anyway. They are still some of our very, very best friends to this day, among the countless other callers that are all part of one giant family, the likes of Stevie Stoltz, Tad Brown, Jeff Probst, and many, many others. It is a brotherhood. Only another caller knows the amount of effort that goes into it and the allegiance that it builds amongst and with each other. As all of the callers know, it takes one heck of a support group to travel across the country to countless contests to win a shotgun or a few $100. Not exactly a lucrative endeavor. Brother Mark had Tracy and, of course, our mom and dad as his support team. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention Mossy Oak's undeniable and constant heartfelt support. Toxie and crew will forever be family. I'll close this out by saying only Tracy really knows the amount of time he put into his calling. And now Taylor, Austin, Matt, Jared, and many, many others cherish the opportunity to sit in front of him while he orchestrates his magic and serenades the Longbeards right into their laps. So now, without further ado, he was the mastermind behind Mad Calls, creating and developing some of the most innovative calls in the country. The mad scientist used an oscilloscope to measure the amplitude of each call, thus the super illuminator. He has won or placed in countless local, state, and regional contests. He is a 6-time world champion caller, of which he is a 3-time natural voice champion, as well as a 2-man team champion. He is a recipient of the National Lewis and Clark Award for Conservation. He is a Missouri Sports Hall of Fame inductee. He is also an Outdoor Legends Hall of Fame inductee. And now, one of the newest Grand National Calling Championship Hall of Fame inductees. As I stand here before you today, there is no one I would rather turkey hunt with than my brother, Mark Drury. Congratulations, much deserved. Love you, brother. Come on out, please.
Quite an introduction there from Brother Terry. You know, he mentioned 2 other organizations and a National Conservation Award and 2 other Hall of Fames that I'm in, but he was inducted into those with me. So when this particular word came down, he called and he said, well, that's your 3rd Hall of Fame. And I said, don't you wish you'd have practiced a little bit more? But thank you very much, Brother Terry. I much appreciate that love and feeling. It's so very mutual. Honored to be here on this stage with you by my side, as we have been for 58 years in life and 36 years in business. Thank you to the NWTF for making this all possible, the Hall of Fame committee, and all the past inductees. Congrats to Jim and Ernie. Honored to share this special day with both of you. Jim, such a gifted caller, one of the very best to ever do it. I was lucky enough to judge some of those Grand Nationals that he won in, and he'd make the hair on the back of your neck stand up. And my buddy Ernie, I've got a great story I have to share. Today is the fitting time to share it. for all the world to hear. It was 1987. I was 20 years old, and I had just arrived in Dallas, Texas, to attend my first NWTF convention and call in the Grand Nationals. The hotel had a bar in it. I sat down, ordered a beer, hoping I wouldn't be carded. I wasn't. There were only two people in that hotel bar, me and a guy to my left. I looked over. There sits none other than Ernie Calandrelli. I couldn't believe it. I almost dropped my beer in excitement. I'm 20 years old, and here sits one of the noted turkey gurus of that time. And you know what happened? Something magical happened. For the next 3 or 4 hours, I introduced myself, and for the next 3 or 4 hours, Ernie and I sat there, and he spoke to me the exact way that he speaks to me today. He treated me that way like he treats everyone else. He made me feel welcome. He made me feel like I belonged. To this day, we are like brothers. If humanity had a Hall of Fame, Ernie would be its first inductee. And I must admit, that may have been the first time we might have been overserved just a little bit. Here's a fun fact. My granddaughter, Mabry, was born on Ernie's birthday, April 21st. I always thought Taylor was life's greatest blessing. That was until I met Mabry Grace. Thanks to Austin and Taylor for being here today. And thank you for that blessing of Mabry, our granddaughter. Love all three of you dearly. I stand before you today feeling incredibly humbled and thankful. On November 21st of 2024, I looked down at my cell phone and it said Preston Pittman. I answered the phone, and as I listened to his voice, making me aware that I had been elected into this Hall of Fame, it took me back to 1989. I was standing on a stage in Natchez, Mississippi. After having won my first world title, it was the World Voice Calling Championship. During the trophy presentation, Preston, who had placed second, and here again, next to one of my heroes whom I barely knew, it was during the trophy presentation, he leans over, he grabs me as hard as he can and hugs me, and he puts his head right to my ear, and he whispers, "They can never take this away from you." That moment and that whisper has stuck with me for 36 years. I've never shared that story before, but I thought it was fitting to share, and I want to thank Preston for both of those moments. And what do you know? He comes up to me at this particular event, grabs me and whispers, "They can't take this away from you," again at this show. 1989 was a big year. Besides winning that world title, I also met Toxie Hayes that same day. This was the beginning of a lifelong friendship. I am forever grateful to Toxie, Diane, and the entire Mossy Oak family. Meeting Toxie that day changed the course of mine and my family's life. I was sitting there doing an interview with Bobby Cleveland of the Clarion Ledger, and he was talking to me about the contest that I'd won. I'm 22 years old, and all of a sudden, this gentleman just barges in between the interview, and he goes, hey, just want to know what camouflage you wear. I didn't know him from Adam. And I said, well, actually, I just ordered a set of Mossy Oak off the back of Turkey Call magazine. I think it's the best looking stuff I've ever seen. He said, well, I'm Toxie Hayes, the inventor. I'd like to talk to you after you're done with this gentleman. So you never know who you're going to meet or where it will end up. Later in the day, I went and talked to Toxie and Cuz, who I knew very well at the time, because I'd been met at different calling contests. And I told Toxie, I said, my spring break's coming up. I'd love to come to work for you. He said, why don't you come down to West Point? You can stay with me and Diane. And I did. And like I said, start of a lifelong friendship. I've worn Mossy Oak ever since. And as I always say, I'll be buried in it. 1989 was also the year I married my beautiful wife of 35 years, Tracy. Thank you, babe, for so much support and love all these years. I love you with all my being. You are truly my soulmate. We also founded Drury Outdoors in 1989. What a ride it has been over the past 3.5 decades. To Tracy, Terry, Willa, Taylor, and Matt, it's been an incredible experience and pleasure to work every day surrounded by family. We are all so incredibly blessed. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you today, and I thank you for being here. I love you all from the bottom of my heart. We learned about the importance of family from our parents, Ralph and Lucille. Some of you may remember them. They were mainstays at this contest. They were always so supportive. Unfortunately, Dad passed away in 2017, but our mom, Lucille, continues to be our hero, always so supportive. Like I said, I know she is watching live on Facebook right now. Mama, I love you. And to all those that are watching at home of our family, I love you all too. The early years of Drury Outdoors were filled with turkey hunts across the country, hosted by folks we barely knew. Connections made through a turkey calling contest or mutual turkey hunting friend. Joe Sexar in Missouri, Pat Jackson in Arkansas, Mike Michalakis in Iowa, Randy Panic in New York, and our dear friends Jerry and Marilyn Hale in Oklahoma. They all took us hunting and took us in when we were just getting started. There were no videos, no fanfare, anything like that. Terry and I will be forever grateful for their friendship and kindness. We will never forget it. I know Terry's smiling because we talk about those early days often. Those early years and adventures were special for us. That's when the dream of two brothers for Drury Outdoors to be something different, something special, perhaps educational, was at its height. Those dreams were magical because it was still a dream. Little did we know what lay ahead. We started our company by releasing 2 turkey hunting VHS tapes, King of the Spring and The Sound of Spring. In fact, our first 6 releases at Drury Outdoors were all turkey hunting videos filled with some of the best callers in the country. Eventually, we released our first deer title and we were off to the races. We evolved with the times and grew our business through the years of DVDs, television, social media, eventually an app called DeerCast. But we never, ever forgot where we came from. Without question, the underpinnings of Drury Outdoors were founded on and fueled by a deep love for the wild turkey, its vocabulary, and its hunting. That love has never faded. I mentioned those first 2 VHS installments. We sold about 2,000 copies between both of them. Times have changed. This past year at Drury Outdoors, our 5.5 million followers across all social channels yielded over 30 million views of Turkey Season 24 online series. We are proud to showcase segments on calling, hunting, trapping, habitat improvement, and food plotting. We have a saying at Drury that we've lived by: make it about them and not us. Make it about the game and the viewer and not ourselves. We have learned that's an approach that never ages or goes out of style. I want to say thanks to the Drury Outdoors team, a team filled with guys and gals across the lower 48 and Canada. Team members like Steve Coondog Coon, our brother, our nephew Jared, 2 of our team members who've been a part of DoD for over 3 decades. Appreciate you both being here today and your incredible loyalty. And I appreciate all of the other Drury Outdoors team members here as well today. Thanks to our talented staff of editors, producers, and writers. They bring these hunts to life on a daily basis and into thousands of devices. In my biased opinion, they are the best in the industry. And thank you to my left and right hand men, Wade and Perry, both here today for me like they are every day. I'm not saying who's on the right or who's on the left, but I think they know. And a special thanks to our valued partners. We've been lucky to have great examples in conservation, partners that believe in and have paved the way for exceptional advances in conservation, especially for the wild turkey. It is our intent to continue following in their footsteps. Toxie Hayes, Chris Paradise, Bobby Cole, Bill and Greg Sugg, Cuz Strickland, Daniel and Neil Hayes, Jess Raley, and our entire family at Mossy Oak. Johnny and JP Morris and the entire Bass Pro and Cabela's organization. Jason Gilbertson and Rafe Nielsen, with Winchester Ammunition and Arms, Eddie Castro and Ben Smith with HS, Avian, and our entire family of brands at GSM. A huge thank you to all of them and the many other great partners we have had through the years at DoD. All of us as turkey hunters are members of a special club. There's a balancing act and a lifelong dues we all owe in order to sustain and expand nature's most precious resource. Simply stated, as a group, we must be more interested in keeping them alive than making them dead. With each yelp or gobble, there's a calling to do as much as we can, give more than we take, an obligation to keep them alive for another day, another memory, another introduction of someone into our coveted fraternity. Hunters are indeed our nation's greatest conservationists. The NWTF and its members prove this daily. We admire our fellow members and their conservation efforts, but as a group, our work is not finished. Here's a commitment from our family to yours. We will always do our very best to set an example of stewardship, conservation, family, and respect for the quarry that we seek. That is our promise to you, and just a small part of the dues we will gladly contribute. My good friend Rob Keck has a saying that I just love, and I've heard it many times, and it rings true and sums up turkey hunting in one sentence. It's the gobbler. It's not the gobbler, it's the gobble. I'd like to add an extension to that as it pertains to turkey callers. And many of you will probably understand what I'm saying when I say this. It's not the calling, but rather the caller. It's not the sound, it's not the individual's ability to run a turkey call, it's the person running that call. Because that's what we all remember. Who taught you how to call? Who were you with when you killed your first turkey? Who are some of your best friends in life? Those answers are all top of mind for me as I stand here today, and each individual answer is exactly the same. It's the caller, not the calling. I want to take a moment to say thank you to some of my turkey calling and hunting heroes. And I mean that. I'm a fan of the sport. I'm a fan of turkey calling. And these guys are all heroes of mine. And it's pretty cool when your heroes become your friends. Top of that list is Tad Brown. Without Tad, Mad Calls simply wouldn't have existed. Tad's been a lifelong friend of mine and Terry's. He's like a brother to us. The remainder of this list is in alphabetical order because there's no way I was picking an order out of this group. And these are some guys that have just meant the world to me and Terry over the past 35 years. Close friends. Ricky Joe Bishop, Chris Comstock, our buddy, Paul Butsky, love him like a brother. Joe and Mac Drake, Vaughn Eubanks. Vaughn, I hope you're feeling better, brother. Ray I, Josh Grossenbacher, Denny Gulvis, Nate Hosey, Harold and David, love them dearly. Rob Keck, love him dearly. Chris Kirby, love him dearly. The late Dick Kirby, Steve Morgenstern, Matt Moret, Walter Parrott, Terry Phillips, Preston Pittman, Mark Perdome, Terry Rome, the entire Rome family, Eddie Salter, Mark Scroggins, Don Ship, the late Larry Shockey, Stevie Stoltz, Cuz Strickland, Tom Stuckey, Randy Panic, Chris Parrish, Jeff Probst, Joe Sexar, Matt Van Sice, Michael Waddell, and of course his whole Bone Collector crew, Keith Wallig, Gary Williams, and John Williams. I'm sure Terry can nod that those are very dear friends of all of ours. Sorry the list is so long, but that's just the way it goes when it comes to this group. The list goes on and on. They're all heroes of mine, and I'm so honored to call those heroes my friends. Turkey hunters make up hunting's greatest circle. There is no passion like it in the outdoors. Each year we come to Nashville, not for the gobbler, but the gobble, not for the calling, but the callers. It's about the people and the magic we all share together each spring. This is hunting's greatest celebration with hunting's most phenomenal family. I will humbly accept this honor today on behalf of every person I mentioned in this speech, every person that's ever watched a Drury Outdoors video or bought a MAD or HS call, because without them and their support of myself and our family, we would not have had the incredible, blessed journey we've had through the outdoors. It is they that I want to thank today. I am honored, I am humbled, and I'm proud to be a turkey hunter. Thank you all.
A little quicker than Ernie's. Thank you.
Love you.